Hi, everybody. So, as we get into summer school and we get into a rhythm of looking at some of these instructions, um, what you want to do is make sure that you're leaving a comment inside of YouTube to let me know that you've read. That's going to be an important thing. Make sure that if you aren't signed into YouTube, you're putting your name next to it so I can give you proper credit because these lessons are very important to the process here. And we want to make sure that we're getting the work done. So, the topic that we're going to talk about today is close reading. You've heard the term close reading before. And so let's just take a moment to pause and think about what close reading is. So, if when I am reading, let's say I'm reading a book like To Kill a Mockingbird, which we're going to do, there's no way I'm going to try to close read that entire book. Instead, I'm going to read for things like what is happening, that's basic comprehension, right? And then maybe after I read, I can reflect on, oh, what did the author do to set up something like theme? Or what did the author do to create these characters, right? Those are good questions to ask as we're reading a whole book or as we're gaining an experience. With close reading, we want to stop pretty often. And actually, in a really truly close read, we would only do about a page at a time. But we can do some of the things that I would do with a close read over a longer period of time and not stop as often. So I'll give you a good example. If I'm reading a novel and I come across a word I don't know, I'm probably not going to stop and look up the word. I'm going to use context clues to fill in the meaning of the word. Unless the word is so important in the sentence that it's really throwing me off and I can't really digest what the sentence is, then I'm probably not going to stop. With close reading, I absolutely want to stop. And there's a lot of stopping with close reading, which is one of the reasons that a lot of people don't like to do it. Because we like to read with some fluency and feel like we're gaining some ground. Close reading is about going deep into the text. So, what would I do with a close reading? Here's Kat Sajak to say hi. What would I do with a close reading? I would absolutely stop, look up that word in the dictionary or in my dictionary app, and then I would move forward, right? That's the process I'm going to take. So, what are some strategies that we want to use? Well, the first thing that we want to do when we encounter some close reading is come into it a little eyes wide open. We're not used to picking up a text and saying, I don't know who this person is or what they're doing, right? Actually, teachers are probably giving you that information. So, with a close reading, you want to do that material. You want to maybe say, okay, so this is a piece by this guy called Sherman Alexie. Who is Sherman Alexie? What's he up to here, right? What's his background? And so I might want to find a Wikipedia article on Sherman Alexie before I read. In fact, that's something I definitely want you to do before we start this piece, Superman and Me. Then, as I'm going through, I want to identify what is he trying to communicate? What is he trying to communicate to me? And spoiler, a good amount of writers, in fact, nearly every decent writer, is going to communicate their key idea, whether you call that a thesis statement or a synthesis statement or a theme or a main idea. They're going to convey that within the first paragraph or two of the piece. And so what you want to do is underline that. Isn't he cute? He's so annoying. You want to underline that or highlight that. In this class, we're always going to be putting stuff into boxes. And so you want to put that into a box and say, here's the main idea, or here's the thing that he wants to get across. Here's this big quote that he's going to get across. A lot of writers will repeat that idea towards the end. So why is he telling us this? Why is he sharing this story of how he learned to read, which is, of course, what this story is about. So close reading, it's going to deal with some extra things. What do we want to do? Now, we're going to ask some pretty simple questions, and we're going to try to get to an area of fluency where we're almost asking these questions automatically. So instead of trying to give you new questions all of the time, we're going to try to get to the point where we're always asking these basic questions like what is the theme or what is the purpose of the writing, and why do this, why tell this story, right? We're about to learn about personal narratives, and so as we're learning about personal narratives, why tell our own stories? It's a good question to ask. Why do our stories matter? Why are they worth sharing? And I think if we ask that question of Alexi, he's going to have something a little more interesting, certainly, than I would say about my first reading experience. He's going to say something that is not only unique, but also captivating to a very specific audience. Okay, so those are the types of things that we're thinking about with a close read. And so go ahead and do the activity. We'll come back, we'll talk about the activity, we'll talk about how that gave you some questions and how that helped some things unravel for you.